I remember when I entered inside my household, I saw that there was someone in the corner of the room, but I couldn't see who it was because the lights were off. And then out of nowhere, when I turned on the light, I saw it was my ex-girlfriend waiting for me to come to my own house. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another really embarrassing, but I gotta say, insane story. Now, this story all starts off back when I was in high school in grade 11. Now, in high school, I remember in grade 11 year specifically, I had a girlfriend for a couple months that I was dating. Now, this girl, I'm not gonna lie to you, she was really good to me, and I gotta say, she was one of the best girls I've probably ever dated, if I'm being honest. But at the same time, one thing about her was that she was very, very over the top with everything. Because I remember she would always like want to be there with me no matter where I went. And for example, if I wanted to just basically hang out with the boys and have a good time, she would always just be there. It got to the point where, I'm gonna be honest, I had no privacy whatsoever. And don't get me wrong, as much as I enjoy the Devil's Tango more than the next guy, I gotta say, I really just couldn't handle her anymore. So I remember what I decided to do was basically one time in school, I was just sitting down with all my friends and they were all telling me like, you know, if I really didn't want to be with this girl anymore and stuff, just break up with her, because if you keep dating her, the longer it lasts, the more painful it's gonna be. And they were right, and there was no way I could disagree with what they were saying. So I remember I decided that night I would invite her over, do one last Devil's Tango, and break up with her. I remember after school came around and I ended up texting my girlfriend that was at the time to basically, you know, meet up with me at my place. She ended up texting me back saying, oh, like, yeah, sure, I was gonna show up anyway, but I'll be there soon. And I ended up realizing that I was more excited to break up with her than ever. Later that night, I remember I was just in my room hanging out and I was playing Xbox with the boys and stuff, and then out of nowhere, I ended up getting a text message. I got a text message from my girlfriend saying that she was at my door, and I ended up telling the boys, all right, boys, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna break up with her. I'll be back in like maybe like half an hour to like 30 minutes. All right, you got this, bro. Don't back down, is what one of them said. And then afterwards, I ended up turning off my Xbox and I went upstairs and let her in. When I let her in, she automatically just walked in and just went straight to my bedroom without even saying hi to me. I automatically knew why she did that, because throughout our relationship, she would usually do this just to come straight into my room and do the Devil's Tango. And honestly, that's exactly what happened. I went straight into my room. One thing led to another. We did it. And well, yeah, we did the Devil's Tango. But right afterwards, after that was all over, I remember I ended up basically laying down beside her and I looked at her saying, hey, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I wanted to talk to you about something. Yeah, anything for you, babe? What's up? I'm gonna be honest. I don't think this is gonna work out. You know, like I just don't feel like me and you are compatible and maybe we should just break up. You want to break up with me? Why? I didn't do anything to you, Bubba. I love you. I care about you so much. No, I get that, but I just don't think it's good for us to be together. Just, you know, maybe just accept it and move on, you know? At that moment, she got up and she started going on her hands and knees and begging for me not to break up with her. I told her that I shouldn't back down and I should just agree upon this and we should just move on. And that's when she got up and said, Bubba, I don't know if I can think about anyone else but you, in a really creepy way. Now, when she said this, I was obviously creeped out, but at the same time, I thought she was just doing it because we were in the moment of a really intense moment, to be exact. And I just said, you know what? Like, you gotta go. And then I remember I went upstairs and I let her out of my house. After she left my place, I'm not gonna lie, I went straight back onto my Xbox. I told the boys exactly what happened, other than me doing the Devil's Tango with her, and they all cheered and said, good stuff, Bubba. Welcome to the single club. You know, all the basic stuff that most guys would say to each other after one breaks up with another. But little did I know, that was the start of the most insane thing ever, because what ends up happening next, I gotta say, blew my mind. Because the next day when I went to school, I remember I tried my best to basically avoid her as much as possible because I didn't want to see my ex-girlfriend at all. One thing was for sure, while I was trying to avoid her, she was trying to get closer to me. And I remember there was moments where she would always try to talk to me and stuff, but me, I always tried to walk away from her. It got to the point where she really just kept trying to get near me, and it got to moments where even like when I was walking down the hallway, for example, she would be in the corner just staring at me. Not even walking up to me, nothing. Just staring at me with her big eyes. At that moment, I remember I was terrified, and honestly, I kind of got the chills from it. But later on in my mind, I thought, you know what? Maybe she just needs time to get over me. And boy, was I wrong, because what ends up happening afterwards really just creeped me out. Because I remember I was at home after school that day, and I was just on my computer just playing some games. And then out of nowhere, I ended up getting a phone call from a no-caller ID on my phone. Now, no-caller ID, if you guys don't know what that is, basically it's when people start calling you, but it doesn't say like what the number is or who the contact that is calling you is. And me, I remember when I saw this, I thought, you know what, maybe it's like one of my friends trying to play a prank on me. So I answered it, and instantly I just hear my ex-girlfriend's voice going, can I see you? I really need to see you right now. At that moment, I didn't even say a word back. I just hung up. I just hung up on her instantly because I did not want to talk to her. Like, that's the golden rule with me. Once I break up with you, like, I am gone. Like, you will not see me again. I vanish. You know what I mean? For her, she just didn't understand that. She kept basically calling back afterwards over and over with this no caller ID because I did block her number after me and her broke up. And me, I just got really annoyed. It got to the point where I actually fully shut off my phone and just hopped on Xbox to tell the boys what was happening. The boys thought the same thing I did when I saw her, like, you know, staring at me in the hallways. They thought it would just take time for her to move on. And that's what I thought as well. But things got even worse afterwards. Because I remember in grade 11 at this time, I remember I worked at a restaurant. And basically, I was just working, doing my own thing. And I was actually a cook in the back, working as a line cook. And I remember out of nowhere, one of the waitresses ended up coming to the kitchen saying, "Hey, Baba, you got a phone call? I'm not sure who it is, but apparently they're asking for you." At that moment, I thought it was maybe my mom or my dad, you know, trying to inform me of something because I usually leave my phone in the locker to make sure, you know, I don't get distracted from work. So I walked up to the phone, I ended up grabbing it, and I ended up putting it up to my ear, and I said, "Hello, like, who is it?" "Baba, it's me. I really miss you. I really need to talk to you. Can you see me tonight? I really miss your eggplant." "What?" is what I said afterwards, and I instantly hung up. I remember the waitress ended up looking at me saying, are you okay, Baba?" "Yeah, no, I'm good. If that person calls back, just don't tell me about it." And I went back to the kitchen and I started working. So at this point, from following me around school to calling me with no caller ID and then calling my workplace, obviously things were getting really suspicious. But I think there's one thing that she ended up doing at the end of it really freaked me out the most. Because I remember 1 week goes by and this girl kept doing the same exact things that creeped me out from earlier. And usually after 1 week, you would probably think she would have moved on and not be as creepy. But no, I remember one day there was after my shift 1 week later and I came home from work after working 8 hours. I was exhausted. I wanted to go home and not deal with anything. So I remember I ended up driving home, and when I got home, I parked my car and I realized that all the lights were off. But I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't surprised about that because, well, my parents went out for vacation for a bit to go see family, so obviously I was home alone. And then I remember when I ended up walking up to my door and unlocking it, I ended up hearing some weird noises. I didn't know where it was coming from. It was definitely not coming from outside of my house, so when I opened the door and I looked around, I ended up seeing that it was just pitch black. Obviously, coming home to total darkness is not unusual because usually you just turn on the light. And me, when I turned on the light, I am not joking, I ended up looking into the corner of the room and I saw my ex-girlfriend was sitting down just staring at me with her eyes wide open saying, "Hey, Baba, I've been waiting for you. How long have you been in my house?" Only like, you know, like 4 hours. "You were in my house for 4 hours. What are you doing here? Get out. I want to talk to you." And I remember she started coming up to me and started like kind of like grabbing me. But me at that moment, I didn't know what to do. And I remember I ended up calling my neighbor to basically come over to make sure that this girl would leave and nothing weird would happen. So my neighbor came over and he looked at me saying, "Yo, Bubba, I have a question, bro. Like, why is she here?" "I don't know. She just broke into my house." "She broke in? I'm calling the cops." And well, one thing led to another. The cops were called and she got arrested for breaking and entering, which I mean is very illegal and no one should break into another person's house. But at the end of it all, I remember after that moment, I'm not gonna lie to you, she never ended up contacting me again, but she still stalks my profiles once in a while. So if you're watching this video, I just want to say, that's right, I told your story. But if you guys want to make sure that you guys don't get an obsessed ex-girlfriend, just follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.